probably know who this guy is. And he got a lot of backlash for wearing this blue suit to the Pope's funeral. And while I don't usually agree with this man, I do have to ask, is this such an insane thing to wear to a funeral? Now, many of you are probably thinking to yourselves, well, yeah. And that's because in traditional Western culture, we often get so stuck in our ways that we stop exploring for ways to expand them. Now, grief is usually a topic we avoid talking about because it's so sensitive, but also because we never plan for our loved ones to die. But the truth is, most of your loved ones are going to die eventually. And for most of the deaths, you're going to be around. It's a problem we can't solve, a fact we can't change. But most of all, it's an aspect of our life that we can't avoid, ignore, and especially live without. You see, grief is an essential part of life. It happens to everyone. And yet, we treat it like this dreaded entity that brings us nothing but pain. Whether you have experienced grief already or not, you probably don't have a fond image of it, because you only think of the pain that it can bring you. But this doesn't have to be that way. Losing a loved one will always be painful, of course. But that doesn't mean grief will always have to be purely negative. Now, I personally have experienced more grief than the average teenager. When I was 6, my little brother passed away from an incurable disease. And then, just 2 months ago, my uncle died. And it made me realize that now, more than ever, I would have to confront the ideas of grief. So, what is the best way to grieve? Obviously, this question doesn't have just one answer, and everyone has a different way to grieve. But I hope that when you leave here today, you at least have some new perspectives that you can integrate into how you want to do it yourself. If you Google funerals, this is the first thing that shows up. Black suits, people crying, and even bad weather. Now, if this is a tradition that you want to uphold and it's how you grieve, that's fine. I'm not forcing you to change anything. All I'm doing is painting a new picture of grief. Because these ceremonies don't have to be purely negative, riddled with guilt and plagued by regret. In traditional Western culture, we often represent grief as something quiet and something individual. But instead, wouldn't it be better if we grieve in a way that is loud? Not loud in volume, but loud in spirit. Loud in how we celebrate the people we love. Loud in how we choose to remember them. And there are a plethora of cultures that already do this. In Ghana, they wear red garments instead of the traditional black ones. In Madagascar, they bring back the people's remains so they can be embraced and cherished once more. In Bali, what would be a traditional cremation ceremony turns into a celebration of the spiritual journey. And in Japan, the Obon tradition has already been labeled as a festival by many tour guides. And then, of course, the Mexican Day of the Dead, which I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. And it's one of the most widespread ways to look at grief in a way that is positive. Even here in Germany, we have All Saints' Day. And while it's still tied to the ideas of solemnity, families celebrate here by visiting the graves of their loved ones together. All these show that ways of celebrating grief already exist, even in traditionally conservative cultures like Germany. And it is up to us to branch out and see which of these cultures can help us feel more comfortable in how we grieve. When I was researching for this topic, I realized I could feel so much more comfortable in the way that I grieve if I just take some of the ideas and methods from other cultures to help me. Because if these other cultures can help me adapt to how I grieve more comfortably, then why shouldn't I adopt some of their methods? Any small change can change the way that grief is seen in our eyes and the eyes of other people. So before you throw away everything your loved ones own, maybe keep a few select items, like on a keychain, so you can always feel close to them. Instead of only mourning the day that they died, also celebrate their birthday, so you can keep celebrating the beginning, not just grieve the end. This way, not only does grief change in how we see it, but in the way people who see you see it. Maybe when they see you grieve in a way that is unique to them, they will feel inspired to look at grief in a different way too. And we are an international school. So in this room alone, you can gain so much inspiration just by talking to each other. So I ask you that when we go on break in 2 Talks time, you talk to the people in front of you. You talk to the people behind you. You talk to the people on the other side of the room. I ask you to listen to their experiences of grief and realize how it would make you want to change the way that you want to do it yourself. And I ask you to share your own experiences so that they can feel inspired too. Talk about grief with other people, because grief isn't something that should haunt us, but something that brings us together. Thank you.